So I was born in Auckland. My parents actually had met playing the Brahms Sonata for cello and piano. So my father was a very good pianist, and my mother was a cellist. I guess I was aware of the cello because of my mum. At the time when I started, when I was three, my sister, who was five at the time, started to have violin lessons, and I decided that I wanted to learn an instrument as well, and decided on the cello. Actually, I wasn't a particularly ambitious musician until I was around about 15 or 16, I guess. So it was playing the cello was something that I sort of that I did and I enjoyed. Completely unrealistically, of course, everybody in New Zealand wants to be, an All Black or something. So but then when I was 15, I was lucky enough to play with some really talented musicians in this. We have a really good chamber music competition in New Zealand for secondary school students. I think that was 2005. My group ended up winning that. I changed teacher also, who to James Tennant, who is also a lecturer at the University of Waikato. I guess that sort of opened up the option for me to go and study cello at a tertiary level, because I hadn't really considered it to that point at all. So then when I was 16, I got offered a scholarship there's a full fees scholarship, the Sir Edmund Hillary Scholarship down in Hamilton. Yeah, so my first cello, obviously, when I was three, was very small. It was a 16th size instrument. So it's well, I mean, it's much closer to the size of a violin than a cello. And then I sort of progressed up all the different sizes, and my first serious cello, I guess, was I bought in 2005, and that was made for me by there's a fantastic luthier in near Cambridge in New Zealand called Noel Sweetman, and just in the last 2 or 3 years, I ended up buying a new cello, well, an old cello. I'm I'm not really sure of the maker actually. It has a sticker in, it has a label in there from the Mirecourt School, so that would make it French, and from 1914. But one of the luthiers, one of the luthiers that I took it to here in Switzerland, said that it might even be a German instrument. So I mean, the origins aren't completely certain, but I think the age is about right. So it's around about 100 years old. Well, I loved the instrument that I had from Noel, and I used that for a good number of years and in several competitions and everything. And in the end, I decided that there's something that you can't quite get out of modern instruments that you seem to find in older instruments, and it's a certain quality of sound that seems to evolve as the instruments mature. So I started looking for something that was sort of aged. I was lucky enough that someone put me in touch with Alan Chisholm, who was then at that stage the associate principal of the New Zealand Symphony, and he was just about to retire and was selling both of his. He had two lovely old cellos, and so I gave both of them a try, and so I fell in love with this one and just decided to that was what I wanted to play on. To define who your favorite composers are. I mean, of course, everybody has sort of, well, everybody would say Bach, of course, and of course, all of my preferences are a little bit biased by whether they wrote extensively for my instrument or not. So, of course, as a cellist, you love Bach and you love Beethoven and Brahms. I've sort of really started to love the music of Schubert and Schumann, who, I mean, Schubert didn't write a lot for the cello. There's just this arpeggione sonata, and then, of course, the chamber music, the trios and quartets, and the amazing quintets. And, of course, there are a lot of great modern composers as well. We have some really good composers in New Zealand. In the first round, I submitted there's a piece for cello and piano by Gareth Farr, which is really, really cool. So the Leopold Mozart Center is it's a small school, and it's in Augsburg, it's a city of about 300,000 people. So it's quite a small city, but it's sort of half an hour, 40 minutes away from Munich. We ended up here because I found the teacher here, Julius Berger. I saw him give a masterclass at the Kronberg Festival, which is near Frankfurt. I really enjoyed that, so I decided to go back a year later and have some masterclasses with him myself at the Salzburg Summer Academy at the Mozarteum there. I've been in Germany now about 2 years, so I guess the main focus for me at the moment is doing this master's, which is a solo degree, and doing a whole lot of competitions and basically trying to make use of all of these opportunities that are over here in Europe.